Game on.
Hey there, game gurus. Welcome back to the channel. Today I'm going to be talking a little bit about, well, the Atari 7800 and the Atari 7800 Plus. So back in the day, I went into KB Toys, and for, $69.99, I picked up my Atari 7800 Pro System. Now, what was good about this back in the day was, first of all, the console wasn't very expensive, and the game cartridges were fairly inexpensive. Now, I have a lot of joy with playing a lot of these games, especially the Galaga and the Asteroids aren't really, really good. But of course now, Atari's back and they made this little guy right here, which is their Atari 7800 Plus, which is upside down. There we go, the Atari 7800 Plus. Now, I'd gotten this one. I wasn't going to spend $130 for it. And I did find it on Woot, which I guess is a subsidiary of Amazon, for $79. So for $79, for everything that's included in the kit, I would give it a try. Now, I heard a lot of things about this. One thing about the Atari 2600 Plus and 7800 Plus, which is no surprise, it's really using emulation, like Stella for the 2600 version of loading the games over, something like this, which is real chips. So one of the things we heard a lot about, at least I heard a lot about, was you can't use flash cards. And I wanted to kind of put that through the test. So, of course, I do have my original Atari 700 games here. A lot of good games here on the 7800. Unfortunately, there's a whole backstory about it. The 7800 would have been out years before the NES, but Atari got sold off to Jack Tramiel. He shelved it. Then the NES came out. They brought it back out, but they weren't really big into it, so it never really had a chance. But hardware, spec-wise, the 7800 is far superior to the NES back in the day. But you can also play your 2600 games on it without an adapter. Of course, 700 games. But my thing was, since it's using emulation, so many people are talking about, what it does is when you insert the cartridge in here, it's not playing it directly off the cartridge. It's actually taking the ROM, downloading it into the system, and playing it from there. Now, most multi-carts have a menu system. You pick in the menu, then it loads it. That's not going to work with these type of devices. They want to physically see the ROM. And that's why when they released their 2600 Plus, they made a 4-in-1 cartridge with actual diff switches. So when you connected the cartridge, only that ROM was seen, and it would download it and play it in the game. So I'd set up my 7800 right here, and I'll get some pictures closer to compare them a little bit. It's not really about the comparison of them. It's really about the flash cards. So I have a couple of flash cards for the 7800. I don't have the newest ones on the market. This one has been a disappointment from day one. This is the Concerto cartridge, which is the older brother of the Harmony cartridge for the 2600. Now, the Atari 2600 Harmony cartridge is a phenomenal flash card. So I'd gotten this. This is a very early version. It's the purple PCB. And this thing's never worked properly. It's giving me problems all the time. And before this video, it wasn't even working right. So I went through all the different web pages, that went down the rabbit hole, got the latest version of the firmware, and it basically still works as a Harmony cartridge. It loads them fine, but now every 7800 game in here simply doesn't work. This has been frustrating when I got it. It's frustrating now, and I don't recommend the Concerto flash card at all for the 7800. There is another one out right now that you can get that's far superior, but I don't have that one yet, so I'm not going to really talk about that one. But I don't recommend the Concerto cartridge. Harmony I do. This one I don't. I think it's terrible. I think it's a pain to use. Don't like it. But there was another one that had come out years ago, and it was called the Mattos flash cartridge. And I have the video over here. The video is like 8 or 9 years old. So I have this quite a while. Now, this is a different type of flash card. You can see there's like a little dial on here, and it's kind of big, but it does house a Pokey chip. And so did the Concerto cartridge. It had a Pokey chip for sound, because the 7800, they didn't include the Pokey chip. Long story, they just use the TIA sound chip. But again, I get off topic a lot, and I'm sorry about that. But what's different about this one is this will house either 16 or 8 games on here. They physically have to turn a switch to select. So basically, the ROM is loaded in the memory address. But this is a multi-cart. It is a flash cart. And this is a little device here that you would connect on here, like so. You would connect this to your PC, download a game to one slot, turn this, download the next game, turn this, so forth, so forth. Now, this was actually made proudly in Spain. And unfortunately, it looks like this one is no longer in production at all. And that's a shame, because with this one little device right here, I'll put the video to my old videos down below. You would buy this one burner, and I have their Atari Lynx flash cart, which is the first one I'd gotten for the Lynx. It works the same way. You load them, you have to turn this, but there's no menu, and it loads the ROM directly. And I also have it for the Vectrex and this one here, but unfortunately, it looks like the website's down. I had to use the Wayback Machine even to find the old website. But this is not a typical flash cart. There's no menu. So what I'm going to do is, right now, you can see Joust playing over here. I'll get a closer view in a second. But if I was to take the Harmony cartridge, which I think is horrible, if I plug that in over here, I'm going to turn this thing off. Right now, I'm playing an original cartridge, Joust. I'm going to turn that off. I'm going to pull this out, like so. And I'm going to plug in this Harmony cartridge. So I'm going to plug in the Harmony cartridge, like that, and turn it on. It does boot up. You get the Atari logo. But then it's going to say it can't find a ROM. And that's because there was a menu system in here. You have to pick the game. And now it says no game selected. So that's why people are saying that the 2600 Plus and 7800 Plus can't use flash cartridges. But that is not, as I'm saying, exactly true. It can't use a flash cartridge that has to load from a menu. This Matos cartridge over here, like I said, you download the games into slots, and you have to manually select the slots with this wheel here. So I'm going to see what's on this cartridge. I haven't used this thing in good 10, well, I can't say 10 years, more like maybe 5 years, because I just haven't played the machine in a long time. But I'm going to plug this flash cartridge into the 7800 Plus right here. And I'm going to turn it on, and let's see what happens. We get the Atari logo. It says loading game. And it does take a few seconds to download the ROMs. It's surprisingly how slow it is at downloading the game cartridges. These cartridges are 2, 3, maybe 24K, 144K. But it still says loading the game. We get a blank screen. And it has loaded the game. I believe it's Commando. But as you can see, it did work, and this is a flash cartridge. So if you can find a used one of these, well, you're in luck. Or if someone makes a flash cartridge like the old style, where the game is in a slot in the ROM with no menu, it will work. It is Commando. So, and this also has a Pokey chip in it. So let me get some closer footage. This, again, this wasn't really supposed to be a big instructional video. People were just saying that flash cartridges do not work with the Atari 2600 Plus or the 7800 Plus. I'm here to prove, well, that's not true. A conventional modern one that uses a menu to download the ROM and then load the game? No, because again, these are not real computers. These are not real Ataris. These are not FPGA. These are software emulators. I know the 2600 is Stella that they're using in the 2600 Plus and 7800 Plus. I'm not quite sure what they're using for the 7800 for the emulation, but again, software emulation. So when you plug a cartridge in, it downloads it. Now, the other reason I didn't want to buy these myself is, like the other mini consoles, like the PC Engine one, TurboGrafx, even the NES, the Sega ones, you can load or hack it to load games off of an SD card. And I kind of know what Atari was doing with this, and I do understand. They want to start selling cartridges again, and I get it. There's something about physical cartridges. But it would have been nice to have the option, because it is nice having a small little Atari. And, well, I just proved that you can do it. But either have to find this old Matos Atari 700 flash cartridge, or someone's going to make a new one that doesn't use a menu, and it would work in these little machines. Now, another reason I didn't want to personally buy these, when they came out with the 2600 Plus, they made the 4-switcher. And to me, that is a stupid move by Atari. If you're going to make a mini console, you should make it on your classic Heavy Sixer. That's your original 2600. It should be a Sunnyvale Heavy Sixer. That's the one you should have made. So I had no desire in getting that one. The only reason I bought this one, I did want to try these controllers here, because mine, I bought mine back in the day where they had these Atari joystick ones, and they're pretty bad. I mean, they work, but you get hand fatigue very quickly playing games with 2 buttons on the sides with here. I have videos down on that already. It's not going to rehash that either. But that was one of the big turnoffs, was that that I didn't want to buy it was I knew it didn't work with flash cartridges, but I just kind of proved that you can. But the other is people, again, this is not the original Atari 7800. I'll get some closer footage to show you that this is not how the original one looked. And because of that, Atari, you're dropping the ball. I understand what you're doing, but I don't know if this guy got it at a good price on sale. But I wouldn't buy it otherwise because it's not really the same. So let me get some closer video over here. I'm using my cell phone because not that I'm getting lazy, just I have too much stuff going on. But let me show you what I'm talking about. Okay, so we have, I'm going to show you just real quickly. This is the original Atari 7800, and even not the original, because this one doesn't have the expansion port on the side. They took that away. So this is actually a second revision at least. But you can see right here, this is the brushed aluminum, which is big on Atari. But these are raised letters, and it's Atari 7800 Pro System on the side with a very thin color bar. Now when you come over here, that's not what they did. This is the European version. So it's got raised Atari in the center. So again, I wouldn't have bought it because it's not really the original 7800 look. But let me get the stuff out of the way. Again, this is really just a quick down and dirty video. This is, again, the Concerto cartridge, which is the big brother to the Harmony cartridge for 2600, which I love. This one I do not recommend at all. This thing's been nothing but trouble. Doesn't even work right at all. So I'm going to put that aside. But this is the MATEOS cartridge, and I did a video, and I'll post links down below right here showing what that looked bare. And it is a 16-slot 7800 flash card, which unfortunately is no longer being made. But as you can see, I have it plugged into my 7800 right here, and it is playing Commando. And I'm going to turn this thing off and show you guys again, powering it off. And this is off. So we're going to hit the power button now, and let's see what happens. I'm going to go back over here a little bit closer. Shows the Atari logo. It says loading a game, and that's where normal modern flash cartridges will fail, that load from a menu. But if you could find one of these used, you'd be in luck and be able to load your games off of a flash cartridge on your 2600 and 7800 Plus. And there we go. It loaded Commando just fine. So again, for people telling you that flash cartridges will not work on the Atari 7800 or 2600 Plus, well, that's not true. It can be done. It just depends. Sometimes old is better than new. I think I proved that right here. And you can see the size difference. I'll just show that here, just because everyone else does it. But again, I'm not a particular fan. The 2600 Plus and this one, on sale, I'll buy it. But I'm just not a fan of, again, if you're going to make these machines, they should be made like the original first release. That's just my opinion, of course. You may differ, and you're fine with that. But for my hard-earned money, when I want to buy these, I want to buy the original-looking ones, not what Atari's been releasing as of late. But again, as you can see, flash cartridges will work. Okay, so I did something a little bit different right here. I took the 7800 Plus off of here, and I put it on the TV. I have actually an HDMI to video converter, so I'm converting this to just standard composite and audio in. But we can see right here we have the MATEOS cartridge right here, which is a flash cartridge. And we're going to turn on the Atari 7800 Plus with my original Pro controllers for 7800 on here, because if I'm going to torture myself for the game, I might as well do it the original way. So turn this thing on, and again, this will load the flash cartridge image off of this flash cartridge, because right now it is a selection switch. So when I select this particular location on the cartridge, it's only one ROM, very similar to the 2600 Plus with their 4 games and one with dip switches, and that's why that one works. So this will show, once again, you can use a flash cartridge if you can find this one used, or if someone makes a modern one with a specific selectable switch to load games. And here we go. Hit the reset button. Select. Here we go. This control is so bad. Again, the joystick itself is not horrible. It's just that holding with 2 buttons on each side is just begging for hand fatigue. And there is a pokey sound chip in this cartridge, and that's what it's using. Well, I shouldn't say that. It's downloaded the ROM. It's probably emulating that in the software, so I can't really say if it's using that as well. So that's all I want to show you guys in this video. So if you do have the Atari 2600 Plus or 7800 Plus, and people tell you you cannot use a flash cartridge with these machines because they are downloading into software emulation, that's not completely true. It just depends on the type of flash cartridge. If it's a modern flash cartridge, it uses a menu, you pick the game from the menu, then it loads it into the system. No, because when you first power the 7800 Plus or 2600 Plus on, it's looking immediately for that game to pull it in. But in this particular case, with this cartridge, I'll put a link down below to my original videos for this cartridge. If you could find it, you could definitely use it to, well, play games on here that are not physical games. But of course, that kind of takes away from what these were designed to do, which is this. But Atari, I do think you should have allowed, or someone should hack this and allow the ability to load games off of an SD card, because there are some games, homebrews, that'll never come out in a physical cartridge, and there may be no other way for people to play it on a physical machine, even though it's a recreation. But that's it for this video. If you did like it, please give it a thumbs up. It takes 1 second for you. Really helps me out in YouTube algorithms, and I really would appreciate it. If you're not currently a subscriber, please, well, subscribe to the channel. That helps me out as well. That's it for today's video. Guys, have a great day. Remember, no matter what you do, tell family and friends you love them. Tomorrow's never promised. But in between those times, well, you got to get this game on, but if you can, get the original game on the right way.